Hello and welcome to Murder Monday. I hope you're all well. I hope you're looking forward to something a little different from us over here. On a Monday, we like to talk murder or crime. Isn't that right, Edna?
That's right. Hey Jen, how are you?
I'm good. I'm
Good.
good. I've had a bit of a hectic, hectic day. It was my grandson's birthday today. So,
Oh, nice.
are you in a wind tunnel, Edna?
Oh, the fan. Let me. My apologies. It's
That's
been
okay.
a bit
Yeah,
warm.
it was my grandson's birthday, so we went
Is
for
it
a
better?
meal and to play on some sort of, in the arcade and just to sort of celebrate his birthday with him. He's 12. God, I don't know where the years go. Honestly,
Um,
it's insane where the years go. So, what have you been up to?
not much. It's been a pretty slow day for the most part. Well, personally, drama wise, it's kind of been going on, but I haven't really been taking, like kind of looking at that too much. But me, I've just been taking it easy. It's been a relaxing day.
Good. Hey, Bridge, how you doing, darling?
Good. How are you?
Hey,
Yeah,
Bridget.
I'm good.
Hey.
I've just been celebrating with a couple of 12-year-old boys for my grandson's birthday.
Little boys are the worst.
I know, but do you know they don't have parties like they used to, When my kids were growing up, I used to throw them house parties and usually fancy
Hmm.
dress, and they were so much fun.
You know what? Because I thought about it a while ago, and like I used to go to birthday parties and stuff like that as a kid. But I was thinking, and I was trying to think back on my childhood. I was like, I've never had a birthday party, like
Oh,
never.
really?
No.
Oh,
Like
Is it
like
that you didn't want one, or is this you didn't celebrate birthdays?
no, I mean we celebrate. I mean, of course, I got presents for my birthday. We had like a little party at school and stuff like that, like in elementary school. I
Hmm.
just never. I don't think I ever thought about having a birthday because I asked my dad about it one time. I was like, I've never had a birthday party, and he's like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
oh, you poor deprived little girl you were. Oh my God, you should have been in my family. I never let the kids forget it's their birthday. I
Well,
Yeah.
tell you.
my parents never let me forget either because I got a whole bunch of presents and stuff like that. But I guess because I'm sure they would have gave me one if I asked for it, but I never asked for it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So did you not like have a couple of school friends round on the day or no?
No, no. Like all
Really?
my cousins had birthday parties. I went to their parties, but I just never had one.
Weird. Well, I shouldn't really
Hmm.
say that. That's how you've
Well,
grown up. What about
we
you,
don't really.
Edna? Oh,
I was gonna say we
sorry.
never.
Um,
I was gonna say
Go
we
ahead,
never
Bridget.
really celebrate. We never celebrate holidays anyway, except for like when I was growing up, like Christmas and Easter and stuff like that. But it was just a little.
Hmm.
I'm an only child, so it was just like my parents and me. So it wasn't ever really a big thing.
Yeah. Oh, I
Hmm.
see. What about
I
you, Edna?
I never really liked the like attention of a birthday party. Like I hate when they um sing happy birthday to you. So I've had a few, but like I don't know, I just didn't like it. Like I remember one time I had a birthday party and all my cousins came over. And these were like the cousins from my dad's side. And if you know the different sides of the family, it's like it's like you know one side and then the other side is kind of like those people. I was like, why are all these people in my house? Like it was like it wasn't for me. So I'm like, thank you for the gift, thank you for the well wishes. Let me be,
Just don't come again.
right?
Oh dear. I can't remember having birthday party. Let me think. God, I hadn't even thought of that. I think I did. I think we did have parties if it was our birthday, just like a little tea party. That was all. Um,
Okay.
but I sort of made up with it with the kids and giving them fancy dress parties and I used to love dressing up. I loved it.
Nice.
So yeah, but nowadays they tend to sort of. I know my granddaughter. She's one of them is 14, and sort of around about that age, they tend to just have a couple of friends to go out with them. Do you know what I
Mm,
mean?
mhm,
She did
mhm,
have a
I would
party
love
a
to
few
just have
years
a couple
ago.
of friends at the mall.
Yeah, that kind
mhm.
of thing. And they go to the cinema and that. Um, so they're all going mad about this new film, Inside Out, is it called? Nearly all my family have been to see it. Have you seen it, girls?
No, I
Inside
haven't
Out?
heard of it.
Mm-mm.
Inside Out? No? Oh, maybe. Oh, well, they're loving it over here. But,
Hmm.
well, my family is. What can I say? Anyway, all right. So let's get on to crime. Say thank you to the people in the chat. We've got Squish, Squish, Random Fish having a good old conversation about a little bit of drama going on. So that's fine. You carry on, girls. We've got things that we need to get onto. Do you know? There's so much crime. Um, but I thought we'd probably start with this one today. Let me say, get the right one in. There we go. Um, the wrong backdrop. We'll get this sorted in a minute, girls. Just bear with me. 1 second. Where are we? There we are. Right, there we are. Right. Guys, I very nearly thought, I'm not doing this one tonight. I want to do a different one because there's another one going on that's really interesting to me, and it's about an English boy, a British boy he's gone missing in
Mhm.
Tenerife whilst on holiday, and yeah, there's so many different things coming out about him. Apparently, he was a bit of a naughty boy, if you understand what I'm saying. And so the
Mhm.
stories coming out about him are like insane. If you want to do a bit of homework, his name's Jay Slater, Slater. So maybe we can go over that next week. I'm telling you, it's insane. But tonight, because you both sort of said that you quite fancied it this week, I thought, okay, let's have a look at what's going on with Alec Baldwin. Now, this is the pre-trial, um, but it's still quite interesting. This live stream was on today. I think it may still be on. Yeah. Started streaming 8 hours ago. 977 are watching it now. Now, I'm not playing the whole 9 hours or 8 hours of it, but I thought I'd just try and pick out a couple of sections and we can just chat about it and see what give our thoughts on it. So, you guys obviously have heard about it, I take it.
Mhm.
Yeah, Edna?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure exactly what they're doing now. So let me, because I can't
It's a
see the title.
Okay, it's a pre-trial at the moment, which I didn't even
Right.
realise that they had a
Okay.
pre-trial. But this is a pre-trial, and from what I can understand, it's all the lawyers, it's the lawyers from the prosecution and from the
Mhm.
defence putting their case to the judge.
Mhm.
Um, and now this woman here, she's prosecuting. So she's like, I don't know, let me just see. Okay, let me just read this bit out then. It says Alec Baldwin's attorneys are set to appear in court Monday for a pre-trial ahead of the famed actor's trial for the deadly shooting on the Rust movie set in 2021. Baldwin's trial is Alec Baldwin is set to begin July the 9th. Oh, that's tomorrow.
Mhm.
Oh,
It
with
is.
jury
Yeah.
selection. Oh, I'd love to be selected. Guilty, Your Honour, on all counts. He's guilty. That poor girl that got shot. Anyway, can you imagine me on a jury? I wouldn't be able to keep quiet. I'd have to be removed.
Mhm.
Um, So it's set to begin on July 9th with jury selection and expected to last at least 10 days. Prosecutors and Baldwin's defence team are presenting various requests to the judge on what evidence, testimony, and arguments can be used in court. Baldwin's defence is pushing to exclude the consideration of his role as co-producer, claiming it's irrelevant to the case and might confuse jurors. Okay, I think I've started at the right bit then, because this particular bit is when she's addressing the lawyer, um, the judge, about they're getting it. The judge is getting in a tangle about whether he's just an actor or whether he's, a producer or director.
I thought
Okay.
he was all of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I think they're trying to say maybe they don't want him to be known as a producer because it probably shows that he's like more accountable or like more responsible for what's going on set.
I thought it was his projects.
Right.
it is.
That's why they don't want him to be known as the producer because they don't want
Mm,
him to, to be seen to have that responsibility.
But
mm,
don't you think that's a bit sneaky, though, doing
Of
that?
mm-hmm,
Because
course.
it's relevant to the case, isn't
Yeah.
it?
mm-hmm.
Okay,
Even
so
as the actor, he holds some responsibility because he's the one handling the gun,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And even worse, having dual responsibility makes it even worse. You can't just fob off one part of it, of his persona because it'll look too bad in court. The fact of the matter is he was the producer, stroke director, and the leading actor. I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
just have to face it. But
Right.
anyway,
Right.
let's listen a bit.
Testify. The defense has taken the position, I believe, that any sort of preparation with witnesses is improper. I would ask that the court not allow the defense to try to imply to the jury that meeting with witnesses prior to their testimony is improper. Coaching, absolutely. That the prosecution to tell a witness what to say, absolutely agree. But to meet, to prepare for their testimony is completely proper. And we'd ask that the court not allow the defense to comment on that as being improper.
Right, yeah, so we all got that. I don't have to explain that. Do you know what I've realised though? Since I've been watching some of these live trials, these lawyers are so shady.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at him there. Dude. I mean, he's got he might as well be just sat there with a shade written across his forehead. He's
Hmm.
so shady.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Well, I have to say,
I have to ask you, is that Baldwin there?
Oh, I think that is him.
Yeah.
Is it? I wasn't sure. Even when I was looking at it, I thought, is that him or not? Anyway, it's irrelevant. Doesn't matter.
don't like these kind of motions because I'm not going to be bound by it during trial where someone shows me an order and says, this is what I said. I was going to tell you, but I'll tell you now, based upon the ruling, every time you want to say something that is not a question to your witness, you're going to come up to the bench.
Oh.
So you do not get to say objection, blah, 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 and then wait for me to say to come up. You're going to come up. And this happened in the Hannah Gutierrez trial. So.
Yeah, I just point of clarification. I don't.
Do you know, I thought when I've watched this little bit, not very much of it at all, but I was listening to it while I was in the bath, and I thought, oh great, she's not going to take any nonsense, with these people standing up every 2 minutes saying I object and this and that. She's going to let it go, but well, we'll see. Be interesting to see what you think about the judge after this as well.
Have any intention of approaching during the trial other than the rarest of circumstances.
No. You have to come up to the bench and put on the record your objection. You don't get to do it from there.
Okay, I have to internalize this. I've never had a trial conducted that way, so I would ask to potentially address this issue. I mean, I
He's got to internalize that. What? What? Just say I need to think about it.
don't think the defense or anything that I've done would necessitate changing the rules. At least I would ask that
This is, a court can do what they want with respect to objections, and this is what I'm going to rule. So I'm trying to, the sides have been contentious with one another. I think that you all may not intend to, but you might want to try to get the jury to see what's wrong with that question, and or make some argument to try to influence the jury. And if you're going to object, it's going to be up here, and you're going to put on the record what the objection is, and I'll make a ruling up here.
And may I just approach for just
Yes.
a second? So I'm glad I saved my rebuttal because I do want to address this issue, Your Honor. What I would ask and urge the court, because I think that this system could disrupt the ability to cross-examine and disrupt the defense. It is not, as I think the court will acknowledge, it is true, the court has great discretion. I think that deciding that before the trial even begins is an extreme use of discretion, just genuinely. I know that issue happened at the prior trial. I'm asking and urging the court to give an opportunity, at least to the defense, to just simply say, and I think my suggestion works, right? It's just objection relevance. There's no other words coming out of my mouth ever during objections at a trial in front of the jury, and to allow us to have an opportunity to have what I would call a normal procedure. Because if every time there's any progress going on with a witness, they're standing up and they're making everybody come to the bench, they're disrupting the ability to cross-examine.
I've seen that happen a lot, though, where they keep going up to the bench. So I don't think it's unusual, is it, for them to come to the bench?
I would say I mean, I've seen them come to the bench, but like they have to discuss like particular things, but not like every single time that they have an objection.
Maybe she's just warning them because she doesn't want them to feel that, she's just warning them not to be not to overuse that facility, if you like. Because I think sometimes they do, and it does disrupt cross-examination. It disrupts a lot of the court case. It's annoying, especially when you're watching it live, because they turn off the mics, so you can't hear anything. So yeah, what I'm going to have to do, because I've heard a big thud, so I know the cat's knocked something over, so I'm just going to play it and go and see what the cat's done in the other room. Okay.
They're disrupting the ability to put on our case. So what I would urge the court and ask the court to please do is to allow us, at least if after the first witness, even the court wants to revert to what they did later on in Hannah Gutierrez's retrial. But I can tell the court I've tried many, many cases. I've never had that issue before. I've never had that issue with one witness in one case. So I'm asking the court to at least give the parties a chance to do it. I also am very concerned about the time, schedule, and everything else. There are lots of objections that are just objection relevance. The court will rule. If the court needs to hear more, we come up. And I'm urging, almost begging the court to at least let us start that way. And then the court can, like this, and not hear from me further on this issue. Thank you.
I'm not going to change my mind. I can see what I want to do is I want to start with you all getting the lay of the land. And I'm going to be in control of the courtroom. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm sorry that you haven't experienced this, because it can happen, and it does happen. So that's what I'm going to do. If you all seem to be doing well and you get it, and I'm hearing relevance, I agree, then we can perhaps relax the rule. But that's how it's going to start off. Okay? All right. So I don't know what I basically didn't really rule, except that I'm in control of the courtroom. All right. Thank you. All right, next up is state's motion in limine 2 to exclude UNM hospital records of Ms. Hutchins' medical treatment.
Your Honor, we have.
Okay. She knocked something into the bath. She's so it was the boy cat. Does anyone want how old is he now? 4-month-old kitten. He's driving me nuts. No, I had these lovely plants. I had some lovely plant cuttings that I put on the kitchen windowsill, and he chose to use those. They're 3 in a row, and he decided that they would make a really nice bed. So he's been laying on these plants, and he's managed to kill all of them.
Oh.
Squashed. So I'm kind of done with kittens. So if anybody offers me another kitten and I may mention it online, just tell me no more. Okay, I'm done. Okay, what did I miss, girls?
Well, oh, what did you miss? I forgot because you got me thinking about kittens now.
Sorry, you're as bad as me. Okay, so they're still to and fro-ing, aren't they?
Mhm.
Bridge, are you any more enlightened, or were you not paying attention?
They were
Bridge
just
is
talking.
probably on Twitter.
She just no, she's just justifying why she's having them come to the bench. That's all.
Oh, okay. And she
Yeah.
did say, "Look, it's my court, and you do what I tell you to do." Yeah, good.
Right. Well, she said like if they act right, then she might lessen
Mhm.
it as well.
Yeah, and I think that's fair enough.
I have no present intention of admitting this exhibit. I don't think there's any grounds to exclude it based on redactions, but this case isn't about the medical issues of Ms. Hutchins, and we're going to address these issues in another bill.
I disagree with that. How can it not be? How can they not include the medical examination and results of the poor woman that was shot? That doesn't make sense to me.
Bottom line, you are no objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right.
That is him, isn't it?
No objection.
Mhm.
Let me just write this down.
I always wonder what they're writing. You know, when you see them sat at a desk, you think, you writing?
You know, during that George Floyd trial with the cop that killed him, it was told. I read it somewhere because everybody was always wondering what he was writing. He was always writing something when somebody was testifying, and I think it was some ex-felon or something like that. And he said that the lawyers basically tell them to write something down if somebody that is testifying or if the judge says something, just doodle in a book, doodle on a piece of paper. Like, don't show any emotion. And that's going to keep you from showing emotion or reacting to what somebody has to say.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I believe that because even Johnny Depp did that, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He was always writing down something. Right, is anyone talking about the case here? That was just drawing. What was that, honey? Wait, wasn't there someone on some defense that was just drawing? I don't know.
See, that's basically what it is.
Mm-hmm.
What about that judge? Now I'm going to get it all wrong now. But what about that judge? Did you hear? Who was on dating apps when she was doing cases? Did you hear that?
No, but I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I
not really
shouldn't-
surprising, is it?
I
Judges
shouldn't
gotta date
laugh.
too.
I shouldn't laugh because it was a really, it's a bad case, and there was a child involved, and it was awful. And she was doing something that she really shouldn't have been doing while this case was going on. I couldn't
Oh wait, while
believe
she
it.
was in court?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
while she
That's
was
right.
actually in court. I don't know what's going on there. Right, let's get. Oh, he's coming up now. Another shady looking one. Look.
Have a very direct link. The evidence that they're trying to admit against Mr. Baldwin, it's all propensity. Mr. Baldwin's not a murderer on the 21st because he swore on the 16th. They're going to try to show that. That's highly improper. It should be excluded.
Oh, right. Yeah. So what the defense are trying to do is get everything excluded. Right. So you're not allowed to hear about how he was acting on the set. prior to the accident. And when I say prior, I mean like a couple of days before or anything like that. You're not allowed to. You've just got to talk about the time that that the incident happened. That's what his lawyers are pressing for.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I've got a horrible feeling he's going to get away with it. I just got this
Yeah.
horrible feeling because these judges are all, anyway, I better not say because I could get in trouble. But yeah, I think you can see the way they work.
May I please the court? Your Honor, first, these other acts evidence constitute res justi. This is intrinsic evidence. And I can tell you I'm intimately familiar with the United States versus Riego case because that was my case. Mr. Riego was charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. And the court allowed the introduction of his prior medical records from about 2 years before the incident happened. So the traffic accident happened on September 7th, 2019. And Mr. Riego was driving on the interstate on a phone call with his wife. And then he unfortunately crashed into the victims and killed 4 people. The court allowed evidence of those medical records and allowed evidence of his application to get his commercial driver's license, where he indicated that there were no medical issues. And also the court noted in allowing this as res justi or intrinsic evidence that this evidence goes to the defendant's reckless state of mind. So for involuntary manslaughter under the state statute, as the court knows, the state has to prove that the defendant acted without due caution and circumspection. And so we have to prove criminal negligence, that the defendant willfully disregarded the rights and safety of others. And the uniform jury instruction, and it's cited in the Henley opinion, that the defendant should have known of the danger involved in his or her actions and continued to act. So intrinsic evidence is evidence that is directly connected or provides context to the jury of the charged offense. And it
Do you know what else I think the other lawyers do? They pretend they're not really interested. If you notice, they always they pick up their files and they rifle through their files, and like the other one's doing the same here, Baldy over here, and it's all like a play act. But this guy here is just so shady. It's like, So, what evidence are they exactly trying to include? As much as they can get away with is the answer to that, random fish. We've got the wind tunnel going on again, Edna.
Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
So, it's as much as they can get away with. So, what they're trying to say in this specific a particular instance is that they feel that they shouldn't be looking at, the medical, results of the woman that was shot. They shouldn't be going further back than the actual day that this happened. They'll try anything to get him to worm out of this. So it's just anything, random fish.
it's connected to the factual circumstances. So what the defense wants is for the jury to be, for the state to only be allowed to introduce in a vacuum the moments leading up to October 21st, 2021, when the defendant shot Ms. Hutchins.
Yeah, which is exactly what I just said. They're trying to sort of push it into a vacuum, but you can't do that. In a court, especially, in a case, especially a murder case, they look at so many different things. So for these lawyers to try and sort of narrow it down and to make it such a narrow playing field, I know playing field's the wrong word, but, to push it all into such a vacuum is wrong. They shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Yeah. Well, because I
However,
think like when it comes to the neglect, that's shown over a period of time. That's not going to be like one day.
Exactly. That's a really good point, Edna. Exactly. And that's what they're trying to do. I mean, I think she says here that I think she said they've got 8 videos of him, acting disappropriately or inappropriately. And, but, of course, his defense lawyers don't want that to be seen. So, yeah.
Intrinsic evidence allows the introduction of evidence that's inextricably intertwined with the acts that form the charged offense. So I would respectfully submit, Your Honor, that this is the state has submitted this notice on June 17th as required, putting the defense on notice that these different videos show the defendant acting in a wanton and reckless manner. For example, there are 8 videos, and those are exhibits 61, 62, 63, 67, 68, 72, 74, and 76, where his finger is on the trigger when it shouldn't be. There are some videos, 7 videos that show the defendant sort of horse playing around with guns, exhibits 95, 111 to 115, and 65. Evidence of the defendant using the gun as a pointer, exhibits 91 and 58. These are inextricably intertwined with what he did.
Yeah, did you see that video? Because when we talked about it before, I think it must have been was it on a Wellness Wednesday, Edna?
I think
And
so.
over this and showed him waving the gun around.
Right? Yeah.
Did you see that, Bridge?
Nope.
Oh, well, you're going to have to find it. I'm not going to go. I don't even know which one it was on. This will decide the whole trial. Yeah, I think so, Random Fish. But I think, in respect to the victim and also the victim's family, everything should be put out there. Don't just hide things and whitewash things away just because he's a famous actor. I think it's disgusting, personally. Yeah, you're gonna have to watch one of the other ones where we showed it, didn't we, Edna? Were you with me that day? And we showed him when he fell down on the ground and he was like pointing at people with the gun, saying,
Wow.
"You get over there, you get over here."
Wow.
I think Bridge doesn't remember it because I feel like I remember Bridge being up here talking about it.
Oh, she's probably on Twitter at the time. Listen, I know what Bridge does. I know what she does.
I don't remember at all.
And I'm like, oh, she was on the panel at that time. I see you, girl. I don't blame you. I'm bored. I'm bored myself. So. Oh dear.
Do you want to talk about the other one? The other story?
What other story? What, are you fed up with this one? You don't like this one?
No, I thought you said that you were bored of this one.
No,
she's saying that she's
joking.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I'm kind of learning
off.
something here. I think it's interesting.
No, I think this is interesting. And I think, I find myself, I just get so wound up about it, though. And you should see the chat in there. The chat, I mean, is awful. I mean, we could liven it up by adding a bit of the chat in if you like, because it's awful what people say. Shall we have a look at the chat as well?
Yeah.
Let's get that back down to there then. Show chat. Oh, it's disabled. Oh no. It must have finished then.
Yeah.
Oh, the chat is dreadful. And I used to find myself just getting so wound up of just looking at the chat. So I stopped looking at it in the end. Why has that gone like that? I need to get rid of that. Anyway, that's annoying. Why can't I get rid of that? Get rid of that. Probably because, let's see.
October 21st, when he pointed that gun at Miss Hutchins, cocked the hammer and pulled the trigger. And so that prior evidence, those other acts evidence basically put into context what happened on October 21st and established the recklessness mens rea. In the alternative, and there's another issue, Your Honor. So the defense are going to be arguing to the jury, and we've seen the preview, that this gun was modified and that it didn't work. Again, as intrinsic evidence, these videos show on a number of occasions that this gun was working perfectly fine. It had no malfunctions. Every time the defendant fired it, he pulled the trigger. There were no issues. So it is actually relevant to demonstrate that there were no issues with this gun. In the
Yeah, he tried to come up with so many reasons why it went off, and he's actually denied pulling it at one point. He said that he pulled the trigger. So yeah, he's going to get caught up in his lies for sure.
alternative, Your Honor, these other instances of the defendant's conduct are admissible under Rule 404B to show knowledge and to show lack of mistake. Knowledge in that the defendant should have known on October 21st, when he was pointing that gun at Ms. Hutchins, that his conduct was wanton and reckless. And we prove that by the evidence of the other instances where he acted in a wanton and reckless manner as it relates to this gun.
100%. And that's something else that they're trying to sort of, get away with. And that's where I want to jump along to when they're talking about, she gets her knickers in a twist, this judge, over whether he's a producer or whether he's just the actor. It's like, oh, come on, woman.
Are premature, and I think we can push them off and probably won't raise issues. But to start with the testimony of Mr. Schilling signed the probable cause affidavit in this case. He was an investigator in this case, just like.
Oh, okay. So here they're talking about people that they don't want to bring on the stand. And one of them is an investigator who virtually did nothing. The prosecution said that he did nothing, so there's no point in having him on there. So that's all a bit boring. So let's move on to here.
You're referring to bulletin number 1. What are you relying on?
Well, there are a number of requirements as it relates to firearms, that the actor and producers are responsible for the safety of others on set, for the safety of themselves and of others on set, that they are to treat a firearm as though it's always loaded. Do not point a firearm at another person. That is also, it's for both, Your Honor. These are set safety rules.
That's
So you're
basic
not
gun
even
safety. That's basic gun safety.
I know, but listen to the judge now. She's saying, well, is that on the producer or is that on the actor? And
It's on anybody handling the gun.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, why does it matter? You can't differentiate when it involves the same person. It's ludicrous.
relying on that.
We are, Your Honor.
In your response, you said that you weren't talking about the SAE guidelines. You were talking about New Mexico law.
Well, Your Honor, I think that these are two different issues that are being conflated. So Mr. Baldwin is charged with involuntary manslaughter under New Mexico law. And how do we prove that? We prove that by demonstrating his conduct, not just on October 21st, but in the days leading up, that by violating these on-set movie set rules, that his conduct was reckless. Because it's not recklessness in a vacuum from
You're talking about the gun, okay? So tell me what you think he did wrong as a producer.
So not just about the gun, Your Honor.
I can't believe she's questioning her on this. Is there something wrong with me? I mean, I cannot believe that this judge is trying to narrow it down to just her talking about the gun. It's I don't get it. Girls, do you get it? Bridge, get off Twitter.
No.
I am not on Twitter. I'm just like I feel look, whatever, Jan. I am just
I'm a grown
trying
woman. I do what I want.
Yeah. Listen, I'm joking about it. You know I don't
Well,
care.
I know. But I'm just like, I feel like the judge does not know anything about guns, because even if you are just trying to make it about the gun, this woman, this prosecutor is bringing up basic gun safety. That's basic gun safety. You're not supposed to point the gun at anybody. You're supposed to act like it's loaded at all times. Even if you know it's not loaded, you're supposed to act like it's loaded and not point it at anybody.
Right.
I know. And I mean, we don't live in a gun culture here, but even we understand that. I mean, it's like, it's common sense, isn't it? Something that, you know, you'd learn as a child. That, something so dangerous or potentially dangerous, you have to be very careful with.
Yep.
So I really don't understand this judge at the moment. I just don't get it.
So there are two, and that's what I wanted to address. There are two components here. So we have his conduct as it relates to the gun, but then his conduct as it relates to, for example, rushing the armorer to reload that gun. That goes to demonstrate his recklessness. There's no regard for the safety of other people. When you're rushing the armorer to reload this firearm, mistakes can happen. And so with regard to his producer role, there is evidence that will be presented that Mr. Baldwin, as a producer, should be aware of all of the safety regulations.
So I did have trouble wrapping my head around this, as you can tell. Okay.
I understand.
So the jury's going to hear this and they're going to go, well, Mr. Baldwin was the actor that was rushing, but he was also being a producer at the same time.
It goes to Your Honor, because it goes to the recklessness. So he is a producer, and his contract states he's also the leading actor. So he's got a dual role, and with both roles, he fails in maintaining the safety of other people. See, what the defense is trying to do is just basically pigeonhole Mr. Baldwin as just an actor who relies on everybody else, and he relied on this armorer to not give him a gun with a live bullet. But his role as a producer requires him, there are more duties imposed on him as a producer. And those duties include, and there's expert testimony that will be presented, that his duties as a producer, well, I understand, Your Honor, but if the court allows the expert testimony, the state will present evidence that the defendant had not just his role as an actor, but as a producer, it's heightened in the sense that he is supposed to be aware of the regulations, of the safety. And that's the most important thing.
I'm just having trouble with this. Okay. I don't understand how you're going to say, as a producer, he shouldn't have, as an actor and a producer, he shouldn't have rushed. He shouldn't have said, quick, move.
Well, but so as an actor, of course, he shouldn't have done that. But also as a producer, Your Honor, he is the boss. And as the boss, he is responsible for the safety of other people. So it goes to his state of mind, his willfulness, that he essentially, as the boss, failed the people who worked around him. And it gives him the power to control the safety. So as the producer, he has the power to control safety on set. And there was a tremendous lack of safety on this set. And so as the boss, he's emboldened to do whatever he wants to do. So this goes to the willfulness that the state has to prove.
Producer to do whatever he wants to do.
Because you're going to hear testimony from witnesses, if the court allows this, who will say he was the boss, he was calling the shots, he would rush people because without regard.
Maybe that's his personality as an actor.
Well, but that's irrelevant.
Can you hear what she's saying, that judge?
Ridiculous.
I know. Well, maybe that's his personality as an actor. What sort of response is that?
Is that the role of the judge?
I don't know.
That's
I
crazy.
honestly don't know. No wonder he's sitting there with a smile on his face. He's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe we've got old Millie in charge here. We're going to get away with this. Millie's as daft as a bloody brush." God, she can't. It's like the judge can't distinguish between trying him as an actor or trying him as a producer, when in reality it doesn't matter. If anything, the fact that he was a producer makes it harder and gives him more responsibility. But why can't you understand that, girls?
Mhm.
I don't know.
Maybe she likes his movies.
Right?
Yeah, it must be. I tell you what, she must be older than me. There's something wrong with her. Someone give her a slap. Slap across the head.
Your Honor, with regard to his role as a producer, he has responsibilities, and he has a responsibility to maintain the safety of the set. Whereas an actor, perhaps those may be lessened, but as a producer, those are heightened. And so it's relevant to demonstrate his willfulness, the willfulness of his conduct, that on October 21st, he once again disregarded the safety of Ms. Hutchins and Mr. Souza and pointed that gun directly at Ms. Hutchins. And so that is why this is relevant. We can't look at this in a vacuum. And in fact, the court in State versus Duncan noted that relevance does not exist in a vacuum. Instead, it's the logical relationship between evidence and a proposition and issue that the party seeks to prove. We have to prove willfulness. We have to prove recklessness. So in order to do that, the fact that he was a producer and the boss is absolutely relevant.
Let me ask you something. So in the involuntary manslaughter, with respect to the first negligent use of a deadly weapon, okay, that's not the producer, that's the actor.
That is the actor, but he's also
Oh my God. How is she? What? How is she saying that? It's like,
I don't know.
I can't believe. So she's trying to differentiate between the two roles. It's
I mean,
like,
you could still argue that it's the producer because the producer allowed this recklessness to go on set. Because even if he wasn't the actor, as the producer, he should, make sure that certain safety precautions or procedures are being adhered to, right? So,
yeah. It's like, oh, I don't know. I'm just getting wound up by the judge.
charged in the
yeah.
alternative.
That he failed to check the gun.
It's more than that.
Well, that is what was given to the grand jury, that he failed to check the gun and pointed a loaded gun at a person. That's what it was in the grand jury. So you want the producer you want to introduce that he was the producer and what he was required to do to be able to prove that alternative theory that he was supposed to check the gun.
Well, and that he wasn't supposed to point it at another human being and to pull the trigger. And so, and as a producer,
how does his role as producer, that as a producer, he wasn't supposed to do that?
well, his role as a producer goes to what he is required to know when it comes to safety of others. He has a responsibility to ensure the safety of other people. So it goes to the issue of his willfulness, that on October 21st, when he points that gun at Ms. Hutchins, he should know that as a producer, he's responsible for her safety, because that is one of the things that producers are responsible for.
And also as an actor as well. I don't know, girls. I just can't understand how or why the judge is trying to divide this. It's one and the same person. I mean, you can't. What, she going to find him guilty or not guilty as the producer, but guilty as the actor? I mean, this all seems, I don't know. It just seems trivial, really. And
Wait, is
time.
is the defense asking that? So the defense is the defense asking that his role as a producer not be introduced to the jury.
Yes.
So that's why they're arguing it. So
Yeah, but why
it,
is the judge? Why is the judge arguing it?
because she's making her prove that his role as a producer is relevant. The prosecution
Yeah.
needs to prove that his role as a producer is relevant to the case.
I mean, I would agree that it is.
Yeah, I would agree that too. Random Fish says, I wonder if the judge is thinking that the production team or the business entity responsible for the movie is who should be sued for negligence rather than the individual.
Mhm.
But we're still, it still all points to Alec Baldwin. Whether it's the production team or whether it's a business entity, that was his business. That was his set. It was his movie.
But they're suing him. So if he gets off, then they still have the opportunity to sue the business or the production team.
I think that's what the girl's family are doing.
Mhm.
I think that's what they're doing. They're suing the actual company. And so they should. So should we jump ahead? Or are you interested in this bit? Do you want to carry on?
Yeah, let's carry on.
Safety on set. And so the fact that there was a lack of safety on this set, Mr. Baldwin should have known that by his action of what he did, moments leading up to the shooting of Miss Hutchins, essentially show a willful disregard for his safety and recklessness. So it's not a theory of prosecution. It is evidence that goes to prove an element of the offense. And we would respectfully ask that the court allow the introduction of the fact that he was a producer and that as a producer, he has obligations to ensure the safety of others.
And who's going to be your expert witness on that?
May I have a moment, Your Honor, to confirm? So we have two witnesses, Mr. Carpenter, who testified before the grand jury. In fact, he testified about the producer role. And then Kent Jorgensen, who is one of the individuals involved in drafting and updating the safety bulletins for on-set safety.
Know that Brian Carpenter was not an expert admitted as a producer in Hannah Gutierrez. He was a firearm expert. And he has not been admitted as an expert because there was no judge to get him to be an expert at the grand jury. So he has not, at this point, been admitted as an expert as a producer.
Right, and we would tender him. Obviously, the court will have to do its gatekeeping duty and role. Mr. Jorgensen, however, and in fact, I think there's a motion pending about Mr. Jorgensen, but Mr. Jorgensen is also an expert on this. He's familiar with what the safety guidelines require of producers and of actors. And so these are germane issues that the state is required to prove, and we'd ask that the court allow the state to introduce this evidence.
Thank you.
Oh, here he comes.
Your Honor, I hardly know where to begin because I honestly don't understand the theory or the facts that they intend to articulate.
Well, maybe you should get another job. I mean, go and work down McDonald's or something if you don't understand it. I mean, it all seems fairly easy for me to understand, and I don't know a great deal about law, but it seems fairly obvious to me what the defense are trying to do. So let's see what he's got to say. He's now going to further differentiate the two roles of producer and actor.
To demonstrate that on October 21st, Alec Baldwin, the actor, committed involuntary manslaughter. They said, well, the safety bulletins explain that. Two things. Number one, they already said in their response that the safety bulletins weren't violated. New Mexico law was. Number two, look at those safety bulletins carefully. I'm sure Your Honor's read them many times. They say nothing about the producer not pointing the gun.
That judge can't even work out whether he's an actor or he's a producer. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, all right.
Say the exclusive responsibility of gun safety is on the prop master, the armorer, the first assistant director. Doesn't say anything about a producer. There are a number of actors doing the same exact thing that was required by the safety guidelines. Those are SAG guidelines for actors, armorers, first assistant director, and the prop master. They say, well, maybe it's because Mr. Baldwin was rushing before October 21st. And there, as a producer, I'm not sure what that distinction is, producer, actor, and therefore on the 21st he was. But you just excluded the evidence of him rushing because that's propensity evidence. That's inappropriate. The fact that we're so confused about what the theory actually is goes directly to the prejudice that will far outweigh the probative nature of this testimony. And we'll get into Mr. Jorgensen and Mr. Carpenter later, unless Your Honor wants to hear about why they're not qualified to testify as experts on producers. I'm sure we can push that on. But the reality is this will confuse the jury. This will be highly prejudicial. They want to show that he's the boss, and therefore on October 21st, as an actor, he committed involuntary manslaughter. That is highly prejudicial, inappropriate evidence, should be excluded.
So what I think is more appropriate is I'm going to revisit this, make my ruling, no more argument on it. But I think that we should do the
God, she's super efficient, isn't she? Oh, Millie there. Millie's thinking about what to cook for dinner tonight. I might do spaghetti bolognese tonight. I do like a dessert. I wonder if George would like a dessert tonight. Get on with it, woman.
Well, you didn't raise, Mr. Carpenter, except duplicative testimony. And
No, that's just the cumulative expert motion, Your Honor. That's correct. We raised Jorgensen.
right.
If you want to do Jorgensen now, I'm happy to come back up and talk about Jorgensen.
All right, let's do Jorgensen.
So they're now going to come up and discredit one of the witnesses or one of the experts. That's what they're going to do.
Mhm.
Oh, God, I tell you what, the law is an ass.
Now, the state intends to offer Mr. Jorgensen on two issues. One is the role of a producer in managing the safety of the set. And the second is the safety bulletins that govern actors on movie sets. Mr. Jorgensen should be excluded. First things first, on the evidence of producer, his opinions on producer. Mr. Jorgensen has never been a producer in his life. He was a camera grip back 25, 30 years ago, never been a producer. We asked him, what is the basis for your testimony as to what producers do, know, what their obligations are on a movie set? He said, well, it's because I get to sit at the kids' table, these are his words, and listen to the adults talking. Your Honor, this is not the kids' table. This is the adults' table. Mr. Jorgensen has absolutely no expertise, and sitting at the kids' table doesn't allow him to sit over there and give testimony about what it is a producer is required to do on a movie set in a criminal trial on involuntary manslaughter. Number one. With respect.
Okay, we're now going to check out the actual footage that we saw. Okay, it was 4 months ago, and let me just put this in right here, just so that we can see how he was acting on that day, because it's quite a good piece of evidence, I think. What was it called? It was on a Wellness Wednesday.
Okay.
With Edna. Right, okay. And let's find it now. Wellness, wait, what was the picture of it? Right, hang on one sec. That's it there. All right, let's stop there. Okay, here we go. Are you ready for this? Oh, for some reason the spinning wheel's happening, but hey, let's hope it gets its act together. Right, okay. From what I understand, she lives in Ohio. She doesn't live in New York. So
This
and I
wouldn't be okay in New York.
I think there's a difference. Yeah, but okay, I said that wrong. Okay, let's go. And we're back. We're back in the room. Right, Where are we? We're on the wrong screen. There we go. That's the screen we want. Hey there, Edna, love.
Hey,
That's the
Oh my God.
screen we want, because now we're going to talk about this trial again.
Aren't
Oh
you
my
listening
God.
to my
I don't know if
voice?
anyone. Oh, hang on. We need to. Right. I found out so much information. Well, it's been on virtually every day. So I've been sort of popping in and out. And my God, what a shit show it was, Edna. You won't believe how bad it was.
wow.
So let me just see. I'm going to try and sort this out. That's wrong. We don't want it there. We want it there. Very meticulous, you know. I can't help myself. I had it all set up earlier and now it's just gone wrong. Where was I? Where was I? There we were. That's it. That's
Oh,
it
that's
there.
nice.
Right. So, oh my God, Edna and everybody else that's remained in here. It's insane what they are, well, what they've shown actually in this court case about how bad the actual set was. Remember when we were talking about it last week and we were saying that
Mhm.
the behavior on there was terrible, how it was chaotic most of the time, and that's part of the reason such an awful thing could happen, where Alex shoots dead the cinematographer. I don't know if that's the way you say it. How do you say it in American?
Wait,
Videographer.
if I look at it, then I can say.
Oh, well, I can't show you looking.
it.
Anyway, let's carry on. Oh, you haven't watched it. You haven't watched it. It's
Somebody
good.
type it in chat for me.
I heard he was cutting. He was cutting a lot of corners there. And your celebrity crush was Stephen Baldwin. Okay, well, takes all sorts, I suppose. Anyway, guys, because we're now like 2 hours in, yes,
Mhm.
cinematographer. That's the one. Yeah.
Yes, there you go.
Mm-mm-mm. Right. So let's change that.
Good phone.
Right. So today is like the closing arguments were going on, and I was going to sort of talk about that. I was going to show that, but maybe that can wait until next Wednesday. Oh, yeah, this is the case of the armorer. This is the trial of the armorer. Okay, and she was found guilty and sentenced to, I don't know, what was it, 18 months in jail or something? But yeah, she was found guilty. But I have got clips of what actually happened on the set here. So I just think as we're talking about it, it'd be quite interesting for those of you that haven't actually seen it. Are we paying attention, Edna, or are we just being silly? Edna's being silly. She's always being silly. Oh my God. Where's Bridget to keep you in your place? Bridget, get your ass up here.
Look, Jen, I can't be serious with the way she spelled it. No, Capone, you're not wrong.
Oh, this man. Oh, this. Could you see what I have to deal with, though? I mean, yeah. See, I mean, I try and be all serious, and there's Edna in her own little world over there. Laughing
I
at
mean, but look at the way Capone's
yeah.
acting,
I
cutting
know,
up.
it was quite funny.
Yeah.
Is that taking the piss out of me? Like, Capone, you know that wrench can very easily be pulled from your hand. You do realise that, Capone?
Anybody can get it, Capone.
Yeah. All right. And I've got a few dodgy mods, but they always behave themselves, so I'm happy with that. Okay. Right. Now behave yourself.
Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry.
What was that she said? She minored in phonetics. Good for you, darling. You were actually. That was amazing. Right, guys, we haven't got all bloody night. We've already been on for 2 hours. I've got things to do. Anyway, so this is the scene, right? So I'm going to play it and just let me know if you can hear it. Okay, let's go.
As soon as you guys are 3 minutes
We can
away,
hear
I'll
it.
do my final wire and we'll go hot. Okay. Get hot? You need to be no, I'm not hot yet. Okay, wait. I want to see where the camera's so everybody knows the time. We'll get all that shit back. We wire him and we know where it's going to be.
Right, see that girl here?
Mm-hmm.
She's the one that is in in the trial at the moment because they're accusing her of neglect. I would say neglect of her hair. It's bloody awful. What is she thinking? She's saying the DC media girl look, and it
Oh
looks
my gosh.
dreadful. All right, Capone, we'll see you soon. We'll see you soon, darling.
Bye, Capone.
Right, now she's the armourer. I have to explain this because Edna doesn't pay any attention. She's the armourer who, on a film set, is the person that's in charge of the guns. Okay?
Yeah, but she's walking with the gun with the barrel down. I mean, what else?
Okay. All right.
How else are you supposed to do it?
Okay, you'll be taught. Listen.
Did you see anything noteworthy in that clip?
Just muzzle discipline,
You said muzzle discipline.
and also a weapon.
Get a little closer to that microphone, would you?
My apologies. I'm sorry.
So she sorted her hair out. So it looks a bit better now. Okay, looks a bit better. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay. Right. So the expert has said that he's seen a problem with that to do with the muzzle. Okay.
Muzzle discipline, but more importantly, there was a weapon exchange that occurred with. I didn't see a safety check between those weapons. Not sure if it was a replica that she was handing off or a live firearm.
And that's the whole point. The whole point is that this young girl with the orange or with the purple hair is wandering around with weapons and also with ammunition. That even though it's like a dud, it can still cause injury to people.
Clearly, yeah. Well, see, and this is why I'm not this is where. How do you check the qualifications for an armorer? You know what I mean? Because obviously they called her up in the book. She said she was one, and then like most people probably.
Okay, let's move on from the armor a bit. I want to see the bit where they show him actually. Right, okay. I want to see him on the set. Okay, was this the bit? Okay, let's see.
Hey, wait a minute, let's reload. Here we go. So, Helena. Hi.
I think this is really interesting because you have to hear what the expert says, okay? It's really interesting.
Here we go, come on. Well, I have to
okay.
We should have 2 guns and both were reloading.
And hang on just a second. I think at the beginning, for some reason, what I want to show you is out of this frame. Bear with me.
Right, she's faffing around there a bit. Let me get on to what the expert actually says here. Right, let's try that. She's playing it frame by frame now.
Let me ask you this. Mr. Lewis, do you see the issue?
I do.
Okay.
I think
You're going to help me fix that?
I am.
Okay. But for the purposes of this, just so that we can move on, have you seen this video where the frame is a little bit bigger and you can see someone over on the far right side of the frame? I can't play it on that. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Okay. We'll swap it out. I'm gonna show you the one that has the wider frame. I apologize for that error. But we'll go ahead and go through your testimony now. So the the other wider frame of this video, what do you see over on the right-hand side?
Well, you have two cameras operating in that particular scene. If this is the one I'm thinking of, you've got an A cam and a B cam, meaning they're filming it from two different locations. So you're actually seeing from one of the camera angles that has an entire operating crew behind it, which will have a first AC. They'll have a camera operator, etc., behind that camera. So imagine a crew of people, a few people behind that camera, and then you've got the other camera that you're actually seeing in frame being filmed. And a lot of times in an action sequence, they'll film it from two different angles so you can cut and chop it up in the editorial. So that's what you're going to be seeing if it's the video that I'm remembering correctly.
Okay, and the gentleman here will pull it and we'll play it. Generally speaking, and we're going to play the other video. Well, you know what? Let's move to the. I think this.
God, they take so long getting to the point. Come on. All right, let's jump to this bit.
Recordings just got better.
Dana!
Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that local recordings.
Now, this is Dana.
Remember that the frame that you're seeing here has that exact same situation going on as well behind this. So it's a number of people out here, both behind that camera and behind the one that we're seeing POV from, okay? And that appears to be a full flash blank just from the report, the amount of powder that's leaving the barrel, the amount of report. And
oh, right. Let's carry on with it. Let's carry on with it. Shut it. All right, hang on. Jump forward.
One more. I forgot to recall stuff. No, right away. Let's
Oh,
reload.
wow, that was crazy.
Isn't it?
How many movie sets do you think you've worked on in your career?
100.
Right, so that's how like frantic he was on that particular scene, and I think that this was on the same day. So we'll go jump forward again. Okay. She cocked the gun.
We should have 2 guns and both were reloading.
Right, there's her bum bag.
Did you see him just walk away?
I did.
What's your opinion on that?
I actually feel they used her as a scapegoat, to be honest. Do I think that she should have been found guilty of neglect? Yes, but only if he too is found guilty of neglect. I don't think it would be fair if she was found guilty and him not. I think they're both as bad as each other. And in actual fact, he's even worse because he shot the blooming gun.
But she is the expert. She should have been responsible for telling him about gun safety. She should have been responsible for telling him, like, you should not be doing this.
Yeah.
But as his role of a producer, like, he's her boss, so maybe she felt uncomfortable doing that.
Yes, that came up actually. That did come up in the case. There's another bit I just want to show.
Right away. Let's reload. Here we go.
See, as an actor, he shouldn't be yelling to the to the armorer to get the gun. Quick, get it, load the guns again. He's so out of order doing that. And this guy here, he's the one people are saying, well, why isn't he being charged with involuntary manslaughter? Because he was the one that was handling the gun to her. But he shouldn't have been. He was like some sort, I don't know, a deputy director or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like this was, there's many hands that played a part in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Let's just move on to the bit where he gets a bit sort of gun happy. Hang on. Because I think it's all relevant, and I think what the defense are trying to do is not allow this to be shown. And I think it should be shown. It should be shown to the jury. Okay, so she's just talking about angles, and saying that when he comes out of here, he's actually firing towards a camera that he should never do.
Mhm.
That's the point of this. But she faffs around with this. Okay.
This is what happens when your kids get to the Hello Fresh box
Oh,
before you do.
that woman.
That shot, when he fires the gun that time, did we see that initial shot from the other camera?
It appears to be maybe the first one or the second one. I think the second one was the more concerning.
Right, okay, they faff so much, it's getting on my nerves. Right, so what they actually say is that he was firing in the wrong direction. When he came out of this place, he shouldn't have been firing where he was firing, because he was firing into a group of people that were standing around, you know, like makeup people and other
Right.
crewmen. So that's what this bit was covering, and the expert that was in the courthouse at the time was explaining, you know, because of the way the cameras were, you could see what he was doing, and he shouldn't have been doing it. But I think one of the most damaging things in his case is this bit where he's on the floor. Hang on, let's go back there. Okay.
10 feet away. I can't see how close it is, but I want to be almost up by the time it gets there. No, I'm going to go into this. Yeah. Well, let me show you something. Hold on. Step back to your original mark. So 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, I'm getting up. Right. Then when he drops his arm, he drops his arm, that means Brady's close. I'm going to start.
Look at him, just swinging it around, just
know.
everywhere.
I know, it's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
God.
Do you see anything concerning here?
Yeah.
Doing what we saw previously in one of the other videos.
What would you say, Edna?
Just waving that gun around willy-nilly, just crazy.
I
That's what
know.
I thought I was gonna see when you first started playing the video. Now this is what I can say, like, what are you doing? You know?
And also you have to note, I don't know if you can see it from there, but his finger is on the trigger. Now the other bit is when he just gets so carried away with his role, right? That, and I think they're just trying to exclude all of this. They don't want any of this seen. Right, hang on. Is that the bit? So he was sat there waving the gun around at people, because the people that he's directing while he's lying on the floor are all like, you know, they're not very far away, and he's got this live gun waving away like it's some sort of flag.
Did you hear that?
I did.
Tell us what's going on there.
It sounded like Miss Gutierrez attempting to correct the fact that she knew that Mr. Baldwin was pointing that weapon in an unsafe manner, and she was attempting to move the crew out of the path of where he was pointing it, and knowing that it was loaded with blanks.
Is there a problem with attempting to move the crew?
That's the one of the two things that should be occurring. You identify the problem that created the fact that the crew was in an unsafe position, and then you clear out the crew. If she was attempting to, I would assume, not correct Mr. Baldwin, but try to make the crew in a more safe position.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's not going to say, "Oi, plonker, get off the floor and stop waving that gun around." She's going to make everybody else move because she was too scared to say anything to him. I mean, and they still blamed her, but anyway, right, this is they still blamed her. Yeah, it's your fault. You should have said it. Never mind
It
him.
is her fault. It is her fault.
Well, it is her fault. Yes, I'm not disputing that, but I also think that he's very, very much involved in it as well. I mean, you can't just say, "Oh, well, you know, she was the armourer. She should have told him." She's got punished for that, you know. She's got a jail sentence for that. But what about him? What about him taking accountability? And I think, you know, what his defense are trying to do is stop him having to face any of the responsibility, and that's not fair. I don't think that that's right.
Go! Motherfucker.
Did you see what he did there? He got so caught up in it that he fired one for luck after they said cut. It's insane.
So, can you give us an idea? Is it important when you're on a movie set and you hear the word cut, is it important that the actors not continue to fire the guns?
Yes. And then when you say cut, everything stops. And it's not just from a creative standpoint, it's also from a safety standpoint. Keep in mind, you're dealing with stunts, special effects, explosives, et cetera, et cetera. So when the word cut is said, everything should cease immediately.
I'm almost lost for words. Right. Do you want to go back to the original video, or do you want to call it a night? I don't mind, because I think we're probably going to do more on this. Let's see. It's entirely up to you guys. What was it called? Law and Crime, wasn't it? So what do you want to do, girlies?
Well, did we finish? I mean, I know we didn't finish the video, but were there any more like big
Yeah, there's
points from the
probably going to be
pretrial?
more bits in it because it's like 7 hours long. But I'm not going to go
okay.
over. Obviously, I'm not going to go over the 7 hours. But
Okay. Yeah.
we
Well,
can listen to a bit more. I mean, if you want to have a bit of a break, I don't mind having a bit of a break. So
okay.
here we are. So, oh right, so they're finished now. So where were we? If we just jump in anywhere,
I think you better go away somewhere.
interesting. Right, okay. So I don't know what's happening here. Right, so shall we have a quick break and then come back for half an hour? Oh, what's Random
Sure.
Fish said here? Jan, will you consider doing professional improvement streams too, and how to change careers, etc.? All of this is making me think I want to be a dramaturge. What's a dramaturge?
What is that?
Is that an American thing? Yeah, maybe
I
on.
think that's a fish thing.
Maybe we can consider having a conversation along those lines on Wednesday. Certainly. Yeah. Okay. They're trying to prevent him taking personal responsibility. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Professional liability would be under his movie company. Yeah. So let's have a quick break and then we'll come back and do another half an hour. But I think we could do with a bit of a break from it. But it's quite interesting. Are you interested in it, guys, or are you bored, silly?
No, it's interesting.
You're interested? Goody.
I mean, I'll be interested. Like, do we find out in this video, like, if the judge allows, these things that they're trying to disallow?
I don't know. It might be a good idea to have a look at some of the chat, though. Mind you, some of it gets a bit. Sometimes they're talking out of their backsides, but yeah, we could have a quick look at that first and see what they're saying in the chat. Oh, now I've lost it. Damn. There it is. Right, okay, let's have our break first, ladies, and then we'll be back.
All right.
A sec. Okie doke. Let's go. And we're back in the room, guys. I hope you managed to do what it was you do in the break and
Yes.
just cleared our heads a little bit. So let's get on with a little bit more of this atrocity, I say. It's atrocity, girls. Absolutely. So I'm just going to jump in. I've no idea what they're going to be saying now, but now do you remember this one? This lawyer, she was defending Hannah, wasn't she? I think, if I'm right. All right. Okay. Let's have a look at the chat. Let's see if I can see anything that is okay. Oh, okay. Somebody says, I do like all the lawyers on each side. Okay. Somebody's easily pleased. Somebody's put karma is coming for all these leftist elites. Somebody's put Alec Baldwin asked for a real gun. All right. Let's see. Whoever is standing behind that gun is responsible for what comes out of it. Yeah. Like this prosecutor, but think she is reaching bringing this to trial. Oh. Agreed on Hannah prosecution. Interesting. It's weird what some of these people say. Right, so Baldwin, a producer, asked for a real gun to be on set. That's crazy. That is. That hasn't come up yet, has it?
Because I was hearing before, because Alec Baldwin is such an anti-gun advocate, like, and
Oh,
you're
is
playing
he?
around. He's spoken a lot against the guns.
Oh. After this happened or before?
Before.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's why that other person said the karma is coming for these leftist elites. That's him.
So someone, Sister of Mercy, has said, the judge is not biased. The state trying to put Hannah's case on Alec's case, and that's not that easy to copy Hannah's case into this case. The judge follows the law, and that's not biased. Okay. I don't know what that one is. Johnny Ario says nobody else did an accidental shooting except Sarah shooting her own foot in half. No idea what he's talking about. Okay, Debbie Martin says, I do think this was an accident and Alec just playing around with the gun, but there was a live round, so who is responsible? Okay. Okay, somebody put, it's irrelevant what Alec knew or didn't know about Hannah. NM gun law. What's NM? New Mexico. Gun law doesn't provide a way to shift Alex's legal responsibility to somebody else. Yeah. Somebody put chocolate and coffee, but it doesn't matter if you're acting when you're handling a real gun. Real guns require real safety. Don't point real guns at people. Yeah, I have to agree with old chocolate and coffee there. So, all right, let's play a bit more of this.
Now, with regard to the lapel videos, the defense says we think the lapel videos are relevant, but we just don't want the jury to see the human part of it. And that's kind of hard for the state because we kind of have to prove that a human being was killed. That's part of what we have to do here. So the other thing that you have to understand is that the defense probably is going to take a similar tactic in this regard that we saw in Gutierrez, and they're going to question all of the law enforcement officers about why didn't you do better? Why couldn't you have done this? And why couldn't you have done that? And the answer is this was extremely chaotic. We've never shown up to a crime scene where there were 150 witnesses there. There were people mulling around everywhere. There were things that we had to do. Those lapel videos show how difficult and chaotic that scene was, and it goes directly to their defense.
Yeah, I agree there. I mean, just seeing the little clips that we saw just then, you could see it was chaotic and you could see who was in charge. So, they were all bowing down to his demands. So why shouldn't he take full responsibility? It just seems madness to me. So Bridge in the chat has said they're going to sue him civilly regardless of the outcome of this case. Yeah, I agree as well. And I think they should. Will Alec Baldwin ever act again? Probably, but probably not with a gun in his hand. I don't know. I don't know what she's prattling on about here. So shall we move on a bit? Right, okay, we've got the 3 monkeys here. Let's go.
To know immediately, you're going to get 5 and 3. Is that right? Yes,
Yeah.
5 and 3, and for causes, and we'll know whether we need a second jury panel by then.
I just want to throw this out there. One of the things that may speed up the process, if we do have a juror and we think that they may have some potentially prejudicial things to say, rather than kicking everybody out of the room, maybe we can just invite that person up to the bench.
I've done that. Yes, I've done that.
Okay.
I agree that makes sense.
Okay. Was anybody thinking private?
I just wasn't sure.
I think it's easier to do the subset of private when necessary and not invite it at the start. The judges that I try cases in front of always think that if you invite it too early, then it becomes a domino effect. I'm just repeating what other jurors have said.
I expect a lot of folks will want to speak in private about this, but I just I think this is different, a little different from Hannah Gutierrez.
And will we be addressing the entire group or just?
Yes, 79.
You'll do the whole group in our questioning.
Yes,
Right.
and then if you can't pick a jury out of 79 folks, which I find highly doubtful, then we'll call in the next panel. Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
And does the next panel come in that same?
Staggered. Yes, it's staggered. That's why when we're finished with the 79, I want to know if I have a jury. So yes, I want to know how many, and we'll know probably by the 4 causes.
Understood.
Okay. All right. Well, and so do you want an hour for lunch, or do you?
So the only thing that I would say about the exhibits, and I mentioned this before, but perhaps we're getting even further, which is, I've just told them about one part of their case that's not going to be necessary, and they disclosed when that witness would be testifying. If the state can even provide some shell, okay, right now we have still have 44 witnesses and 13 experts. Any guidance, I'm not holding them to the guidance. The court need not. I'm not going to ask the court to hold them to the guidance of the gist of the case. The gist of the case and their expected witness, we are going to be able to very, very quickly say, okay, then those lapels, that issue, it becomes irrelevant, and I'm going to be able to deliver to the state what they're going to ask the court for.
Okay, very good. So what we're going to do is we're going to take an hour lunch because we're almost finished with these. And then the court is going to instruct you all to meet and confer about what you all think about your cases and streamlining. Okay? All right.
Thank you.
All right. We're in recess.
Oh, is that her? I was expecting some white-haired old lady there. All right. So, hang on. We're back. We're back in the room.
But there's another analysis that has to happen first, and that is whether or not the utterances or the words that were spoken actually even meet the definition of hearsay, period. First, it has to meet the definition of hearsay before you have to get into the analysis of whether or not there's an exception that applies. Because if it doesn't meet the definition of hearsay, the analysis ends there. It's not hearsay, so we don't have to get to the exceptions. So what we do is we look at the words that were uttered, and then we see whether or not it falls under 11801. And 11801A defines a statement, which it must be, as a person's oral assertion, written assertion, or nonverbal conduct if the person intended it as an assertion. And so what's central to that is that the words that were uttered have to have been intended and have been an assertion. And the case law is clear about what that means, and we'll get to that in just a moment. The second paragraph, paragraph B, has to do with the fact that the declarant is the person who made the statement. And then C is where we get again into what happens with the statement. And C says, hearsay means a statement that the declarant does not make while testifying at the current trial or hearing, so it's an out-of-court statement. And 2, that a party offers an evidence to prove the truth of the matter asserted in the statement. So again, central to all of the definitional pieces of 11801 is that the words that were uttered have to be intended as an assertion. And there is case law on that, which we have cited in our motion. And the case law very clearly indicates that non-assertive statements are not hearsay. And that means a statement that cannot be proven true or false. So an assertive statement would be, the car was blue, the light was green.
Okay, so it seems like I'm just picking at anything now. So I think, I mean, we've looked at the case a bit, from my previous video. So those of you that weren't familiar with, what actually happened and hadn't seen those clips to see what was actually going on set that day, at least you've got that idea in your minds. And let's just hear what she's got to say here. But I mean, if it's all like pedantic and sort of just picking at things all the time, I don't really want to listen to all that. But I'm just fascinated that a whole day can be wasted, in my opinion, wasted over a pre-trial hearing. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Just let the trial go ahead, as far as I'm concerned. What do you think, girls? Am I being a bit, naive saying that, or do you agree that they should have a pre-hearing where everything's set out?
Yeah, I agree that they should have the pretrial because it's like you can't, offer something as evidence and then, the defense says, "Oh no, we don't want the jury to hear that." Well, they're already heard, or they know that it's there. So, you can't take it back. So you gotta hammer out those things beforehand. So yeah, I think it's valid to have a pretrial.
Don't you think though that it just works in the defensive advantage? It gives the defense an advantage because they can say, well, we don't want this being shown, or we don't want that being seen, and we don't want this person to speak. It just seems to me that it gives the defense more advantage than it does the prosecution.
Because they are innocent until proven guilty. So the prosecution needs to prove that it is relevant.
Yeah. I understand that. I think it's different over here. I think you're guilty till you're proven innocent over here. But then you Americans get everything asked upwards anyway. So, yeah. So let's just hear a little bit more of what she's got to say, and then we'll head out.
Prosecution can say X in trial of defendant 1 with the facts that are available and still present a different argument with the same set of facts, but as to defendant number 2. And so the statements made by Ms. Morrissey during her arguments to the jury in Gutierrez applied to Gutierrez, applied to her culpability. That doesn't mean that the state should be bound or that the defense gets to introduce her statements to the jury in Gutierrez because they pertain to Gutierrez. This is a different defendant. And so the facts are they're still the same well of facts, but the facts that we're drawing upon for this defendant are slightly different than the facts on Gutierrez. And more importantly, even if the court were to find that, well, okay, statements by a prosecutor are admissions by a party opponent, the court still has to subject that decision to a Rule 403 analysis. And under Rule 403, allowing the defense to introduce the statements Ms. Morrissey made out of context, so they're picking and choosing specific statements they want to introduce, would create confusion to the jury. It would be misleading to the jury. So the statement that counsel indicated that Ms. Morrissey made about Ms. Gutierrez being the autonomous individual, that pertained to Ms. Morrissey's argument as it related to ammunition. With regard to another statement that Ms. Gutierrez was not rushed, but yet in this trial, one of the issues is the defendant rushed Ms. Gutierrez. She was not rushed that particular day on October 21st, but rushed on other days to reload the firearm. So these would be completely taken out of context, Your Honor, and the court has the discretion to not allow these statements to be introduced as admissions by a party opponent. And I think that Montoya does apply, because these are arguments by counsel that the court should exclude at a minimum under Rule 403.
Okay. It's quite interesting. It's a shame, that there weren't more people here to watch it with us, but do you know what? It doesn't matter, because it's out there for other people to watch. I think it's interesting. Maybe we'll follow up. I mean, the case starts, well, they choose the jury tomorrow, but I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that the actual trial is going to start tomorrow or the next day or even this week, does it? It can take a while for jury selection to happen, can't it?
And they said there was like 72 people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So-
then they said even if they don't, if they don't find everyone from the 72, that they can, they have other options. So
Yeah. So it could be a little while. So I think, we'll set this aside, we'll put this on the back burner and, possibly come back to it another time, because I think it's quite interesting, but I do get somewhat annoyed with the, watching the court hearings, because these lawyers just drive me nuts.
So do we want to see what the judge had to say as far as if he's going to be seen as a producer or just an actor? I looked it up.
Well, we don't know, do we?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we know. I looked it up.
Did you look it up?
Yes.
Right,
So
go
she
on
said
then.
She's only going to present that he's an actor, not a producer.
Oh, see,
Oh,
that's
so
terrible. That's terrible. So that means that his company won't have like a black mark against it.
Well, no, not
Because-
necessarily, because of course, I'm more than sure they're going to sue him civilly. So they're going to get him on a civil trial.
Yeah. Yeah, but it'll be a civil case, whereas it should be a criminal case. Don't you think it should be a criminal case?
Well, it's a criminal case against him. This one is a criminal case against him.
Okay. So what do you think about that then? Do you think that's a good thing or what?
I mean, I think that's appropriate.
Okay.
Like, you can't put a business in jail.
But I mean, the whole thing about him being a producer is that he's the one in charge. So it's a good thing for the for the defense, but it's not a good thing for the prosecution, because they can't say that, well, he's the producer, he's the one in charge, so he is liable. They're saying, no, he's just an actor. He was just there doing his role.
Yeah, and as the judge says, perhaps that was his personality. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. We'll follow it anyway, girls, eh? We'll see what happens in this circus. So, yeah. Oh, that's quite interesting, actually. Got to find another word for interesting, haven't we? But anyway, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed, just sort of chatting about it and disagreeing with everything, and but yeah, it's quite. It is thought-provoking, but I quite like that. I like to sort of, get our brain matter working a bit. It's difficult for me because it's so late in the day, but it's still nice to look at other things. So thanks for coming up, girls. Always appreciate you coming up. And I'll see you on Wednesday. And also thanks to those in the chat. Few of you in here tonight. Very grateful for that. Thanks so much for coming. Always lovely to see you. And it's always nice when you take part in the chat. And also for the people that didn't chat, that's perfectly fine. And the lurkers, we'll see you on Wednesday. Okay, and we're going to have a Wellness Wednesday. Don't know what we're talking about yet. So maybe something light-hearted might be quite nice. So in the meantime, you take care of yourselves out there because it's a rotten old world. And until the next one, bye-bye for now.